Hey, for another shot fired.
Copy, additional shot fired.
Shot fired, shooting at us.
Suspect shooting at officer.
Suspect down. He's at the base of the stairs, white t-shirt, white male.
Coming to you from Northern California.
Negative K, nothing further, just
This is the Shots Fired Podcast.
Back on that town property case, and I'll be 76.
With your hosts, Sergeant Kyle Schoberg, retired police officer Mark Redlich, and Deputy Billy. We are America's leading law enforcement resource for training and tactics from experts in the industry. Here are your hosts.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here at the TACops conference, bringing you guys another awesome guest with you. We've got George Creamer here, former Los Angeles County SWAT team, retired. George, thank you for carving out time. I know you're teaching some classes here, Hostage Rescue, and you've got a Barricade class tomorrow morning. Thank you for spending some time with us, sitting down. We've been talking shop the last probably 45 minutes. Hell of a bunch of stories you've got, man. Thank you for doing this with us.
Welcome.
You're quite the career.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. And this is your first podcast, so we're like super stoked to pop that cherry.
Yeah. Do I get a shirt, like a Virgin Podcast shirt?
Yeah, you know what? You do. We're going to hook you up.
Okay. Very nice.
Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick to everybody. Tell everybody who you are, where you came from, and some assignments that you've held before getting on the SWAT team at LA.
Yeah. Like I said, George Creamer, and I did 32 years at LA County Sheriff's Department. A couple years in the jails, which is kind of mandatory out that way. And then I did some 9 years of patrol, most of that in South Central LA. A little stint of narcotics. Wasn't really into that kind of a thing because I like things being on time.
That's all right. We aren't either.
And that didn't work out for me really well. But then I went over to the SWAT team in 2000. And I spent just over 15 years on the SWAT team. And while I was at the SWAT team, went through all the same disciplines that a lot of people go through there. Become an explosive breacher, become a sniper, weapons instructor, all of the things that come with all that. We're a full-time team over there. We have 6 teams of 7 to 8 bodies, which will be with 6 deputies and a sergeant on each team. The unit is big. It's under the umbrella of the Special Operations Division, but within our unit, the Special Enforcement Detail, you also have hazmat, and you have arson explosives, you have the K-9 unit, and then you have our medics there as well as the SWAT team. So, and the medics are the SWAT medics. They are assigned to the teams, so anytime we go out on any activation, we'll have medics, and they have their own equipment. They have medcats that are ambulatory type of things. So a very busy SWAT team, usually averaging, you can go from anywhere from 220 to 300 activations a year down with our teams. And most of that is your high risk warrant stuff, which is everybody's bread and butter in the tactical world for the most part. I was the scout for my team on the black team for about 6 years, and how we're set up there is even though we have a team leader that is a sergeant, the scout runs the team, and by runs the team, you are basically managing your bodies on a daily basis, and you are in charge of the tactical planning for any situation that comes up that needs the SWAT team. So either an unplanned or a pre-planned event, you're in charge. Okay. The team leader is there so that we have supervisors on scene just in case, if you have to end up using force or something like that down the road in the courtroom, they're going to ask, hey, was there a supervisor? Of course there was, here's our supervisor. But that individual doesn't always come up with tactical planning. They have clearly a say, just like the last guy on our team would. You have a vested interest. If we're going through that door, then we all have a vested interest on the tactical planning portion of that. So, we listen to everybody that's on the team and then filter out what we don't want and take what we do. And that's how that runs. So, and then I promoted to sergeant in late 2015. I went up to our Palmdale, Lancaster area. I worked Palmdale Station as a supervisor. I did that for almost 2 years. And then after that, I went down and I had a team. We did the AB 109 out of California. So they selected me to come down as a supervisor and build a team to go after what we were labeling as LA's top 10 most wanted, AB 109 parole violators.
Explain to everybody real quick what AB 109 is.
So AB 109 is Assembly Bill 109, which passed in California, that in a nutshell basically says we're going to let this person out of prison on parole based on page 1, meaning what he was last arrested for. Yeah. But if you go any deeper and you see the carjackings and the murders and the drugs and the guns, it was
technically supposed to be like the non-violent, non-reoffender, whatever.
Correct.
It was a bad system, but unfortunately California dished us that out. So.
Of course. And
so if anyone's wondering,
then I wouldn't have a top 10 most wanted. I mean, why would you? If they weren't supposed to be violent or anything.
Yeah.
So. But we went after those guys. I had a crime analyst, and I had a good team, and I spent the last part of my years with that team going after the AB 109s. So
very nice.
Yeah, it was good. 32 years.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, and when you talked about being the scout on your team, I think people probably listening to the show who are involved in SWAT teams it's a little out of ordinary. I think that your team leader isn't making those decisions.
Correct.
Obviously you guys are big and you're very active and busy. And so, I just think that people are probably wondering, like, that's strange, that's your role. Right. It's kind of out of the ordinary.
You'll see a lot of that. And I hear a lot of that throughout the country that, hey, our supervisor's the one that makes the call on that, and they do all the tactical planning and things of that nature. There's a reason that we don't do that, and it's built into our teams that it all comes down to also like our style of movement in a home, right? There's you'll hear a lot out there oh, hey, we're going warrant speed on this one, or we're going hostage rescue speed, or dynamic and this and that. We don't do that. Okay, that language is not there for us, because if you have a new guy that you're bringing through a SWAT team or through SWAT school and they hear the term dynamic, I mean, these guys they think you're going to hit the door and run through the house and you're in the backyard barbecuing in about 30 seconds. And it's like, that's not the case. We don't work like that. So what I'm getting at as far as like the supervisor goes is that there's no directing movement when we move. So if we go inside of a house, there's no hall boss. There's none of that. Our new guys that come over to our teams, it's rare that they would even step into a house on a warrant for months and months and months. And because just because a person is of rank inside the house, that person does not take charge on the movement inside the house. He just doesn't. Okay? He moves, or she moves the exact same that I do as a scout or a seventh man does. Nothing changes. And because I don't, you have somebody that's been covering a hallway and they're covering the threats or whatever, and these guys are back here clearing things up or whatever. You don't walk up and tap that guy on the shoulder and go, okay, hey, scouts here, team leaders here, back up. We don't do that. We don't work like that. So our teams, because we have 6 of them within our unit, they are... What's really pushed within our unit is independent critical thinking. You have to be a critical thinker there, and that style of movement, how we work in our platform, moves all the way through. So instead of your warrant speed and your that confuses guys.
Yeah.
We're doing hostage rescue speed. Well, what is that? Because you have to be able to process the things that are in front of you, and that may mean that you process a little bit differently than I do or something like that. So all of ours is under controlled speed. That's all we tell people. Hey, we have a hostage rescue. We have to make a crisis entry. All of our movement is controlled. There is no, hostage rescue speed. We got to go. We don't do that. Okay. It doesn't mean that we're going to sit there and just meander through the house and take our time and stuff. We don't do that either. But we have a platform of a three-man cell movement that we do, and that That platform is the same in our covert, which is super stealth and quiet. That is the same thing as warrants and the same thing as hostage rescue. And so we really try to break that down when we're talking about movement to our SWAT guys. So, because it can get really confusing. So
It's interesting.
I like that because the team I came from, there was different speeds. It was controlled, but it was different speeds, you know, and it initially you're like, oh, it's raid speed. And you're like, oh man, we're going to, you know, I'm walking way too fast and not controlled. Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah. And I like that you touched on the critical thinking thing. You independently have to be a critical thinker. And that is so important. And unfortunately not everybody can do that. But that is a crucial role, I think, on any SWAT team. Right. It should be across the board for really any cop in any situation. Right. But, especially in that capacity, like, I like that you touched on that because I think people need to hear that. You have to be a critical thinker.
Yeah, we have a lot of demands when people do finally make it over to our team, but you know, and I always tell people, I say, hey, we're very spoiled where we are. We have 15 Bearcats, whatever equipment we need.
Did you say 15?
15 Bearcats.
Wow.
And
yeah, digest that listener.
Within that 15 Bearcats, though, you have 3 Medcats that are all outfitted for our medics. So they have their medical armor. We have a fire cat, so we can put fires out if we need to and still use armor. And then you have the bear, and then you have the other Bearcats. You have, because LA County is so big, you're talking almost 4,800 square miles, and we handle everything from Catalina Island on the beach all the way up to Palmdale, Lancaster, and the things in between, which is be your metropolis, you know, your cities, and then we can go all the way up to about 10,000 feet for, you know, the San Gabriel Mountains that are right there, right? So you can be working down close to the water, and then you got something going on that's up in the mountains where it's been snowing for the last 2 days. So, you know, you have to have all that gear, and we get it that we're spoiled like that. We have all those luxuries. We can train all the time. Well, at one point had unlimited ammo, but you know how that all went. So, but with all the SWAT equipment, you know, we got all the drones, we have all the other stuff, and you know, it does make it easier for us because we have to, you know, we had to take some Bearcats and place them throughout the county and then train patrol how to use the Bearcats so that if something happened up in an area that would be easily a 2-hour drive on a Friday where we can't afford that time, we can put guys in the helicopter and fly them up over the mountain and drop them off. And that Bearcat will be sitting there waiting for them because we've already trained those patrol stations on how to function that Bearcat, right? So, or armored vehicle, whatever you have, Pterodine, Bearcat, doesn't matter. As long as you have armor, I'm happy. I could care less what it is. So, so
some of the ways that your team actually gets around is by helicopter. And then if you're not responding by helicopter, what's another way that you would get there? Do you take a different vehicle, or you carpool, or what are?
Yeah. So every member on the team has their own car. So everything is kept in their Tahoes, and it's a take home. So, and that's big for us, right? So we have people that are spread out throughout the county, wherever they live, you know, within the county. Some live in Orange County, okay? But we have southern parts of LA County where they may have to get into, or well, they'll get to first before someone that lives in northern LA County. So we take all of our equipment. So you'll have breaching equipment. Most of our sergeants on each team, they'll all have picks, rams. They'll have shields in those cars. You know, all the stuff that you would need for like a crisis, like a critical incident that's popping off like right now. Right now, you know, hostage rescue type of deal. We have all of our minimum stuff right there. All the guys have all their gear. Again, we're spoiled. We have entry weapons, which most guys are running around with our MP5s. That's what we use. And then guys will have either an M4 rifle that they use on containment, or that's their second rifle on a sniper deployment. So you have that, and then you know, regular, you know, your clearly your vest, your, you know, everything else is right there. Now the things that we don't have are things that would be on like the SWAT van. So, you know, some of your bigger robots, or you know, other equipment like that. Right. So. But some guys have drones in their car, which they can run those right away. And but again, like we've talked all through the past that these guys that are in, because I train a lot of people throughout the country and a lot of law enforcement, and a lot of them are, they don't have that stuff. Right? They don't even come close to having that stuff. But I make sure that I tell them, hey, you can have all the cool gear and you can be, looking real sharp, and, you deserve to be on page 12 of SWAT Boy magazine or whatever. None of that matters if you don't have a brain. If you can't function out there in the field, you can't be a critical thinker, none of that matters. It's irrelevant, actually.
Yeah, because you wouldn't know how to probably use it anyways.
Or win.
Or win,
for sure.
No doubt. So, hold on real quick. Before I forget, I'm just curious, like when you guys would get deployed on a call out or whatever, I know you guys live all over, wherever. I mean, do some of the, you had mentioned you got different teams, do they commingle with each other? Like, would they, just your team would get called out on a specific call, or like if some guys that were on different teams live next to each other, I mean, would you guys all go to that call? How does that work?
Yeah. So even though we have the 6 different teams, it's kind of weird how it rotates. So 4 teams work Monday through Thursday. 2 teams work the weekend. Okay. And that would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Everybody works on Monday. Monday is what we call the Bureau Training Day. So whatever discipline is picked for that Monday, you better be there, because that is what keeps the continuity between all 6 teams.
Got
so
it.
that everybody is on the same page on how we're going to deal with a hostage rescue, how we're going to deal with a hostage rescue in a car, how are we handling bus assaults. Well, we don't assault anything unless it's like a hostage problem. Okay, we don't do that.
Yeah.
So everything else. So if what will happen is, let's say that my team has SWAT duties on Monday day and Thursday PMs. So Monday from 06 to 16, anything that happens within that time frame, I have the handle on it, meaning my team. Those remaining 5 teams, the gray team, red team, all that, I use all of those bodies to supplement the things that I'm not, like my team is the entry team. We're coming up with the tactical plan. We're the entry team.
Oh, okay.
The other guys, there are armored vehicle drivers, our SWAT van drivers, our containment personnel, my breachers, if I need them, all that stuff. It goes through the whole thing. If I need a drone, I got a guy for that. If I need, hey, I need 2 guys on less lethal. Well, they're not from my team. They're from the other guys.
Okay, that makes sense.
I supplement all that. So that's why we all have to work together, so that if I say something on the radio, then everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's not just, that's just a black team thing. No, it isn't.
Okay.
Everybody knows exactly what we're talking about. So that's why, as a new guy, when we get new guys that actually come over to the SWAT team, they spend probably the first 3 or 4 months getting slammed with hostage rescue tactics. We don't care about barricades. We don't care about high-risk warrant, because 1, anybody can be a containment guy for the most part, and 2, they're not doing warrant service. They're too new. Okay, I'll supplement. I'll come grab you from the red team. Hey, do I need you to fill in for the 5th man spot? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they get smashed and smashed and smashed with hostage rescue, and the reason being is because we are so spread out. So if, let's say, a hostage problem comes up in, whatever little town, let's just say like San Dimas out there. If our new guy happens to live 3 miles from there, and he shows up at the command post first in his neat little pretty green outfit, and he's got a cool gun, and he's a SWAT guy, do you think anybody there cares that he's only been there 3 months?
No.
Absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
They're just going to go, hey, the SWAT team's here. Thank God. It's all yours.
Yeah.
And he's going to go, yeah, this isn't, So we make sure that if we get a guy that comes on the team as a new guy, as a SWAT guy, he gets just eaten alive with hostage rescue for 3 or 4 months. So,
and I'm curious, what does it take to get on the team? What are the requirements?
Well, You want the old version or you want the new version?
Your version.
Yeah.
Yours.
Yeah, because
I'm sure its standards have obviously just like everywhere have gone down, but
everything has changed. But for the most part now, it's you take a test, you take a written test, and there's an interview, and then you have to take a physical test. We don't put a lot of emphasis on, like our big brothers down the street, some LAPD guys and other stuff. Their SWAT school is basically their selection process, right? So with us, we don't do that. We select our personnel. Okay, we don't care so much about how you shoot because we're going to break you down and you're going to shoot our way. So we're not too concerned about that. But we do leave some openings, to be honest with you. We leave some openings that if these guys, when they do go to SWAT school, if they don't have the ability to think critically and get themselves out of problems and be able to tell me, not just, they did something, I want to know why. Tell me why you did that. Because if you've been around tactics long enough, you realize that it's a big chess game.
yeah.
So I'm going to do this and make this move because I know 2 more moves ahead, I need this to occur. That kind of a thing. So if we don't get that, then we can flush people out. But to kind of answer your question, the old way was more of a, who knows this guy that applied?
Yeah.
And if it's crickets, then he's just not ready yet because nobody knows the guy. We don't know anything about him. We don't have time for that. We'd only take a couple of people a year, so we really have to make sure that we have the right people. But they changed the physical test.
What is
years
that?
back.
What's your physical test today?
Today, it is a mixture of running and some upper body strength. What happened was we had like a kinesiologist came out and looked at our test and said, well, you don't need this part, you don't need that part, that kind of a thing. So it basically
really dissected it.
You got to put on like a little tack vest and a gun belt.
Yeah.
Take off you're on a track, you take off on a run, you run, half the track, and then you have to go up and over like a 5-foot wall, and then you end up going over a 4-foot wall. You have to carry some bags, put them up on top of the wall, come back down. You have to go through a tunnel, and then up and over like an 8-foot chain link fence, and then run around the track again, and then do the whole thing over again. So
Timed?
Yeah, it's timed. But I think it's like 7:44 or something like that. It's plenty of time.
Yeah, plenty of time if you're in shape.
Yeah. And you do that same test twice?
Yes.
Or is it two?
It's 2 evolutions of that test, yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's...
And how many would typically try out each year or whenever you guys had openings?
Oh, you would get... I remember times where there were, 50 or 60 people, and then I remember there's 100 people.
Wow.
That would come out there for the test.
Let's talk about some interesting call outs that you had been a part of. I know probably a lot of listeners listening right now want to dabble into your brain and hear some of the things that you've done. Can you walk us through like how your team would handle a barricade? You guys would show up as a team, you have a barricade, and we were talking before this show, there's so many different teams out there across the country and cops across the country that tactics are different, I swear, everywhere, right? Like we've traveled around to different conferences all over the United States this year and doing different training things. And it's almost like everywhere is doing something different. So I think personally on the West Coast, and I'm not being biased, but I think on the West Coast, I think we do things pretty well as far as tactics. And I think we're really safe because we slow things down and, we utilize tools to flush people out. And other teams are rushing into things, I mean, they're not using those tools and they think, well, you guys just sit around and, wait forever, for hours sometimes. And it's like, yeah, we do. Right. But we're not getting killed, generally speaking.
Right.
So can you kind of walk us through that and why we do those things?
Yeah. Well, in your main disciplines on critical incidents, what do you have? You've got your barricades, you have your active shooters or, critical incident management like that on active shooters. You have your hostage rescues, and then you have your warrant service. let's just go with a barricade. Like if we get a barricade, let's say my team's up, and I get a call from the guy in the desk, because our desk guys are 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So they monitor the radios, they hear everything. And because you got to remember, we're a full-time team, so we're a patrol resource. Mm-hmm. We're not out there driving around like collateral teams where, these guys, they have their double duties. They're out there. Yeah. At 1 second, they're out there, handling a stolen bike report or whatever, and then they get like this SWAT thing that's going on. They jump in the phone booth and they put on their SWAT gear and they jump back out, now they're a SWAT guy. So we're a patrol resource. So when patrol finally says, hey, this guy, after a foot pursuit, he ran inside this house, he's barricaded, okay? If we get that call, then that's when we'll start running up the team. Now, on a barricade where it's still kind of clearly an unplanned event, right? So, but on a barricade, that kind of has to go up the chain a little bit, right? So our desk guy will call the on-duty SWAT commander and say, hey, this is what, we'll say, this is what Norwalk Station has. Foot pursuit, guy bailed out of a car, ran inside of a house. Well, his first question is going to be, is there anybody else in the house? Because what's our difference now, right? Right. Yeah, no, there's nobody else in the house. Okay, we've confirmed that, all the people ran outside, so there's nobody else. Okay, so now we have a barricade, right? So that now, if he says, go ahead, send a team. So in our office, you'll see up on the board is the handling team, which would, let's say it was mine, black team, boom. There we are, all of our names. And then you have the other supplemental teams that we put together. So everybody that is on that board gets a phone call. Hey, you got a barricaded suspect down in Norwalk. Okay, where's the command post? Get the command post. Okay, handle it just like you would a radio call in patrol. Okay, get a hold of whoever's down there. Hey, this is 241 Adam from the black team SCB. Hey, we're rolling down there. Hey, give me a quick rundown. Or call my cell or something. Hey, sir, we were chasing this guy. Blah 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 blah. Okay, any guns? We don't know. Any guns in the car? Did you find anything in the car? That kind of a thing. So it's almost like you're building your case as you go, right? So. If there's nothing, the guy's just in the house, then we get down there and we just start setting up containment. And it's really, we just try not to think too much into it, right? We're going to contain it, okay? And then we're going to sit back and we're going to sit there behind our barricade and we're going to try and get this guy to come out. Hey, do whatever you can, CNT, make phone calls, PAs, whatever it's going to be. Yeah. But eventually you're probably going to end up going to a gas plan, okay? And so this is where, and we can talk about like empowerment from commanders and stuff like that, because that's big across the country. Okay. There's a lot of teams out there that they don't do anything until they're told to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's not good. You got to get out of that. So go through your whole checkoff list for this barricade. You make sure you set your containment people in an area where they're protected. You're not going to put them in a spot where they're out in the open. And while you're doing that, you're basically doing like a scouting mission, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to look at the front door. Okay, I'm all good there. I know what I need to deal with that. But as I'm going around, and again, times have changed, right? So now with cell phones and all that other stuff, you can just have your containment too, guys. Hey, take a picture for me. Send me what you had. That way you don't have to go walking around and doing all that stuff. But if you work with your team long enough, right? Because the goal at SEB is for everybody to be a scout. Everybody. It'll never happen, but everybody. Because in that way, if I ended up, like, let's say on the 3 side or something, I would know what he's going to want, the scout. Sure. I would look at that and go, okay, there's 3 windows back here and a slider. He's probably going to want gas here, this and that and the other. So instead of wasting time, I can get him on the radio and say, hey, I need a gas setup back here if you plan on that. That way he doesn't have to walk back there or send pictures and all that other stuff.
You're forward thinking.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's going to be directional stuff as well. Maybe, hey, I want 2 in that upper bedroom window. Whatever that's going to be. But that's just down the road. You don't have to worry about that. But if you're, you have to understand people that are running the tactics, the SWAT team, they got a lot going on. Yeah. So you as an individual that is not in charge of that, you're not running the tactics out there, and you're sitting over on the 4 side as containment, you should help that guy out by going, hey, this is what I need. Oh, hey, if you plan on flashbangs over here, I've got 3, whatever that's going to be. So, so once you get all of that set up, then you just have to go through the whole process. You've done everything that you can to get this guy out. It's not coming out. Okay, C&T can't get a hold of him. Okay, he doesn't belong in that house. A warrant's been written because we don't go in houses without warrants.
Right.
Okay, unless it's like a critical entry, like crisis entry or something. But once that occurs, I'll run my gas plan by my sergeant that's on the team. Hey, this is what I want you to tell the commander. Hey, I'm going to put gas here, here, and here. This is how we're going to do it. And then he'll just get over there, hop on the phone, call the lieutenant that's at the command post. Hey, this is what the scout wants to do. Is the warrant good? And if so, we're ready for gas whenever you guys are.
You're not asking.
No.
And
no.
I want to. Can you just touch on that real quick? Why? Because you said it. Teams that are asking for permission to do things first from, your SWAT commanders at the command post, instead of the team that's there at the problem. Mm-hmm. Why? Can you tell everybody why that's important?
Well, it's not. Let's not mistaken that for, like on a barricade like we're talking about, there's nothing going on at this point, right? The guy's not shooting at us or anything like that. So, but if it's just a barricade, then I'm going to run things by the command staff because that's what's right. That's what's fair. They need to know, and they are the ones that are technically in charge, right? They're the command staff. So, but what I mean by team empowerment, being empowered by your command staff to act without a commander's approval, is mostly on your critical incidents. A hostage rescue where you see a window of opportunity that is right there. This guy has, kind of bouncing, but on a hostage rescue, just to answer your question, if this guy's already shot 3 people and he's inside of a house and he's on the phone saying, hey, these 2 people that are in here with me, no one's coming out alive. You're going to see me in a box. Well, if that guy makes his way to the window and he's standing there looking at you guys with a pistol in his hand, after all that violence that he has just done, the odds are pretty good that guy's going to get shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. California AB 392 puts a little damper on that.
Yeah.
That is true.
We've done an episode on that.
Yeah. So that's just a nightmare. But for the most part, around the country, that's not going to fly. Okay. But a lot of times, you heard rumors that the whole Uvalde thing where a guy had a clear shot at this guy and he's asking permission to shoot because it was over a certain amount of distance or whatever. And I'm like, I need to verify that because nobody does that. I mean,
I know.
There's no green light and none of that stuff like that. So, but on a regular barricade, it's the right thing to do. You don't just go off the handle. And besides, that's why that sergeant is there. He's the one that, you're not doing anything until you run it by him on not necessarily a static problem, but like a barricade or something like that. But once that gets run up to the top and the commander's all, hey, go ahead. Tired of standing out here. I got a tea time or, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. Go to gas. Well, everybody's already been briefed on the gas plan. We all know what we're going to do. Okay. So, you'll get a lot of command staff that is, because when we put gas in houses, we don't try to move people. We don't, hey, he's downstairs or he's upstairs, let's put gas upstairs and move him down. We don't do that. We gas the entire house. The only place you're going is out.
Right.
I don't care where, whatever window or door, but you're coming out. We don't do that. So as long as the command staff is good to go, the gas plan is good to go, then we go to our gas. We aren't exactly in control of the outcome of that because a lot of command staff who they have a legitimate job where they have to look out for the best interest of the department as well, the personnel and the department. So you can't have people saying, well, if he put gas in there, he's going to come out with a gun and we're going to have to end up shooting him. Nobody told him to come out with a gun.
Right.
We've been out there all this time. We're talking to him. Hey, give up. We don't want to hurt anybody. This and all the other nonsense, right? So you'll get a lot of folks that are worried about that. Hey, if you guys put gas in there, then he's going to, if he comes out with a gun, what happens then?
Well, I think it's liability on them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's not fair to do to the team. You can't do that to the team. The team's just doing what they're there to do. And this idiot's inside the house and he's displaced the people in the neighborhood for the last 5 hours. We're not trying to put a timeline on life or anything, but at the same time, we got to get this guy out of the house. And you've given us the equipment, the training, and we have all that to get him out. So this is what we're going to do, right? So, but that's how we would pretty much handle a barricade. And then all the other stuff that goes on during the entire operation. All the contingency plans that we talk about. Hey, if he runs out the door and he goes this way, what are we going to do? Hey, K9, if he comes out and he surrenders but he won't come down, how far can he get before you can release the dog and you can get him? And you know, hey, talk to less lethal. Hey, that guy comes out and he's not complying or whatever, just get ready because we're going to do less lethal and we're going to send the dog and the arrest team's ready to go, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So there's a lot of working parts, and that part of it is, you know, you'll get people that'll say, oh yeah, we got a standard barricade.
Yeah, well, I've never heard of that.
No standard barricade. Too many crazy things can happen, you know. But when you start moving into hostage rescue, that gets very complex. There's so many wheels in motion, so you got to deal with that. But
and how many hostage rescues have you been involved in?
Oh gosh.
If you have to think about it, that's I mean, come on, most people in their whole career will never be involved in any, maybe one, and you're like, shoot, I don't know.
I could say probably, well, I was there just over 15 years, and even if we averaged, you know, because you got days off and stuff like that, you didn't go to some call-outs, but if you're averaging at least 200 a year, 200 call-outs a year, out of those call-outs, 200 to 300, you're probably going to get, in a year, maybe, it could go from maybe 15 or more hostage rescues.
Wow.
But they're all, they all vary in levels. Like, you can't, like there was, I think back in 2014 it was, I mean, I don't know, somebody sent in like some bad fentanyl or whatever because things were off the hook, and it was hostage rescue after hostage rescue. But you got to remember some of these things, and that's part of when we go around and we teach around the country and we're doing hostage rescue, you have to make sure that people understand exactly what a hostage is, because, you know, the guy in the trailer that beat up on his old lady and said, you know, no, she's not coming out, you know, just give us a chance, we're going to figure this out. Okay, well, you know, she may be a hostage, she may not be a hostage.
Right.
We'll treat it like she is, but everybody, you know, be on your game. That doesn't mean that the guy comes to the door and he's drunk and he's mad that you're going to shoot that guy. That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So, especially when you're standing behind bulletproof armor or something like that. So, but the real ones, I'd say, like really good ones, I think throughout my career of my 15 years, I could probably be safe to say that I've probably been on well over 30 or more.
Wow.
That's
incredible.
Incredible.
Different styles.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it just goes to like your level of experience, you know what I mean?
Well, in the environment and the size of the area that you work.
Yeah, that's pretty
being
wild.
there.
Yeah.
I think everyone just gasp in their car if you're listening to this or if you're watching this on YouTube. They're like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
Yes, he said 30.
Yes.
But again, as long as folks understand that, you know, there's differences. There's a variety of
Sure.
levels of hostage rescue. So, you know, we've had some that, you know,
if we're on that subject, is there one that stands out to you throughout your entire career, one that stands out to you?
well, I have some that stand out for different reasons. So I've had some that are actually comical, and I've had some that are just flat out shootouts within, you know, 10 feet. So they all can vary, and I've seen them where, you know, guys are doing exactly what we do and the way that we train, and I've seen it where guys have actually lived through some of these where it's just ugly in the house. Like there's gunfire and you're shooting it out, and you know, you rely on your tactics and things of that nature. But I think if we were just to kind of like sum the entire thing up, like if you, like we had one where, so the deputies go in pursuit of a carjacking / kidnapping suspect. Okay. But he has already dumped off his kidnapping victim during the pursuit. And then he pulls into a cul-de-sac and the deputies are on him and they exchange gunfire. Okay. So this guy jumps over a wall and he runs to an apartment complex. Okay. So when you are dealing with hostage rescue, we like to tell guys you have to build your case from the onset. Okay. So just right there, what has this guy already done? He's kidnapped somebody, he carjacked him, okay, and he went in pursuit, so he's evading the law. And when they caught up to him, he shot at him. Okay, so this is part of the mindset. You have to, hostage rescue is driven by intel, nothing else. It's all intel. And this guy's mindset is off the hook already. So anyway, so this guy ends up finding an apartment. And he goes inside the apartment and outruns a male that is probably in his early 20s. But he leaves behind his parents, who are probably in their 60s or 70s, okay? Very small apartment. It's almost like a studio, okay? There's no like bedrooms or anything. It's just a studio area, kitchen, and a little bathroom. So it's in an apartment complex. They're on the second level. And then, so K9 is there because they're listening to all this that's going on initially. And our desk guy is too, okay? So I get a phone call. It's about 10:30 at night. And the desk guy says, hey, pursuit, deputies got into a shooting. Guy ran inside of an apartment. One guy ran out and said, my parents are still in there. So there's no connection between the bad guy and these people here.
Right.
Okay. I said, okay, well, let me know if that goes any further type of deal. So he just gives me a heads up. Okay. No more than 5 minutes later, he calls. He's like, hey, man, this guy is holding these people hostage. He's in there with a gun, and he's not letting these people out of the house. Okay. All right. So within
Now we'll go.
Yeah. Now we'll go. All right. I'll put my Hey Dudes on, and here we go.
Just kidding.
All right.
Sorry.
But now that puts a lot of wheels in motion. Okay. So we talked about that empowerment, right? There is no, at that point in time, calling the commander and going, hey, this is what's going on. Do you mind if I get the team going? The desk guy just hits the button, and it's an all call because it's a hostage rescue. So everybody's coming.
What's the total number, estimate number of officers who respond to that? The personnel, H&T, all that?
It will vary because you have your guys that are off. You have your, even when you're off, you're going to get an all call.
But it's like everybody.
Yeah, everybody at our unit is going to go within the tactical side, and then we'll bring the medics. And if something else that we need, like if we need like hazmat or something like that, we'd bring them or whatever. But K9's already there, so I'll call on the SWAT guys. But there's still a bunch of people that are either out of town or for whatever reason they can't come. So I'd say in total for that, you're probably going to get upwards around 50 to 60 guys.
Wow.
That's a great resource.
That are going to roll. Yeah.
For one tiny apartment, yeah.
Heck yes.
So
that's what
awesome.
I'm talking about.
So this particular one, and we're talking about the command staff, right? So the desk guy tells me, and I just tell him, hey, get the all call, which means right away, our newer guys or people that are closer to our unit, even if it's a guy that's seasoned, that's been on our unit for 15 or 20 years, if he's closest to our unit where our SWAT trucks are and all that other stuff, he'll go pick that stuff up. Okay, we carry explosive charges in our cars. Okay, so we do have the ability to put a charge on a door if we need it right away type of deal, but we still need all of our explosive van, our SWAT van, our technology. We need all that stuff to come out. Okay, so guys have to go pick that stuff up. So on a hostage rescue, we don't go to the command post. We as the teams, we go straight to the target, and that way we can deal with everything from out there. The command posts can handle themselves back here, right? That's where C&T shows up, and the commanders of the department and all that stuff. They all know where to go, okay? So they go there, the team goes out to the scene. So it probably took me maybe a half an hour to get there from where I was. I got there, K9 was already there. They had actually walked along the third level of the apartment complex, and they looked down over the edge to see what door he went in. Well, there's a glass window right next to it. Well, this guy fires around right through the glass up at the K9 guys. Okay, so clearly he's still violent and a little upset, right? So he shot at the cops again.
Yeah.
So imagine it's like a long walkway. There's 6 apartments in between where the crisis entry team was, and it was like a mix of folks. You had a couple of ESD guys, you had a couple K9 guys, a couple patrol guys, because that's how it would be normally, right?
Yeah, for patrol, yeah.
So I get there, I have a couple other SWAT guys with me, and I take my medics and the K9 guy, get rid of patrol, and I give them a task. So in between where we are down to where we want to go, there are 6 apartment buildings. We are going to move down to the very last one, and I want patrol to evac all the apartments as we go, right? Get all those people out of there. Once we get down to the very end, it drops down. There's like 3 steps that go down, then it makes a hard left, and that's where the apartment is. It's like 12 feet away, okay? So everybody starts rolling up here, and I hear on the radio that they're like, hey, we got some armor here and this and that. I said, okay, hey, do me a favor. Take that armor. This is the parking lot in the back, which would be the 3 side. So take that armor, give me somebody up in the turret. Okay, the windows that we're talking about, I showed them. It's the small bathroom window and then a bigger window, which was like into the studio apartment or whatever it was. I said, those are the only 2 windows in play. That's all you need to watch. So put the armor back there, put a team back there, and I put a guy in the turret. I said, just watch that up there. So now I've got that squared away. The guy's not going anywhere else. It's either out the back or out the front. So we get that all set up, and I get my team set up here. And once you get your team set up, that's where you really need to start having a discussion, because this thing can go at any time. Mm-hmm. So, hey, you're in charge of flashbangs. You're in charge of the shield. You start giving some guys some assignments.
Right.
Okay, it can't just be hodgepodge. Everybody has to have a job, and that way it's actually better for them. Now they know this is what I'm doing, mm-hmm. right? So all those assignments are put out. Okay, so we get some information, and you got to remember, this thing lasted about, maybe 5 hours, okay? So if it feels like it's going quick, it's actually, there's some things that occurred in between, right? So the whole place is contained. We do a bunch of evacuations. So what had happened was we get the people that are inside, the hostages, they actually locked themselves in the bathroom of the place, and they have a cell phone. They were able to call their son that ran out, who is now at our command post, okay? They said, hey, the guy that's in our house keeps trying the bathroom door, okay? If you're getting that intel, you need to be descriptive. What do you mean by that? Mm-hmm. Well, he's working the doorknob, but the door's locked. Okay. So that information comes out, and in hostage rescue, I don't want people to get confused. It's not always what you hear. It's what you don't hear. We don't hear gunfire.
Right.
We don't hear screaming. We don't hear the smashing in of a door. We're 12 feet away, okay? So if he was trying to kick that door in to get to those hostages, we'd hear it, okay? And we're set up for that, so we're good. So what I did is I got a hold of my team member in the back, and I said, hey, they're in that bathroom. I go, what are the chances you can get a ladder up the back right there while the guy in the turret is covering that window? So if the guy came to that window, the guy in the turret's got him. How can you get a ladder up to that bathroom and at a minimum put a gun in there, right? Because if we open the window and we got a gun in there, if that guy tries to come through the door to hurt these people, can we defend them? Absolutely we can.
That's a great plan.
So let's do that. So, and then on top of that, and I said, hey, by the way, if you can get those people out that window, that'd be amazing.
Please do.
Right? Yeah. And so I run that by my sergeant. He's all, yeah, dude, have at it. Go at it. So that whole plan goes into effect. They put the ladder up there. Guy's able to get up there, gets into the window, and he says, hey, I need 2 more ladders. Put a ladder below the window. He goes, and give me another one because they're down inside the bathtub. I got to put it through the window, down into the bathtub so they can climb out and then down the ladder, right? So as he is holding the door, puts the ladder in, all that other stuff. As he's holding the door, the female hostage, she comes up and up over the ladder and down the other ladder, like that.
Yeah, she wants out.
Yeah. And of course the male, he comes up the ladder and then almost falls flat on his head and goes head first all the way down. But with the SWAT guy that was holding the door, super fit, super good guy, he's able to reach out and grab the guy and upright him, get him onto the ladder, and then the guy scoots down the ladder. Okay, so then I get it on the radio, hey, we've got both hostages. Outstanding. So now we have nothing but a barricade. Okay, so down the ladder they go, and they're continuing to watch this whole thing. So The hostage portion of this is just make sure that you have all your personnel in the right spot, okay, and think outside the box. Don't get locked down to anything. If you can get those hostages out or shrink the problem down, then that's really what you want to do, the best that you can. So just getting somebody up there to protect that door makes everybody feel a lot better. Because nobody wants to go inside there and deal with that guy, because you're probably going to shoot it out from 6, 7, 8 feet away. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, so then that just turns into a barricade, and then that's a whole nother story. But it ended up being this guy was very hell-bent on not going back to prison. His daughter somehow got a hold of our command post and said that she had talked to him on the phone. And he told her, hey, this is the last time you're going to talk to me. I'm not going back to prison.
Wow.
Okay, so with that mindset, it's great that we got those hostages out. Okay, I'm not quite sure he understood the value of those hostages at the time, and it's a good thing that we acted quick, because I didn't want him to finally go, you know what? If I'm going to go, you're all going to go.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. So. And then it ended up, we went to, we were going to go to a gas plan. So, but because I couldn't turn around and watch the door, because every time if you went to do that, you'd probably get shot at. So, we put the robot up there, and I set it back from the door, because I figured, hey, if this guy comes out during the gas, let him trip over the robot, let him take a second, so that we can at least get some control over this guy. Which it worked out well. The gas plan went into play. And next thing you know, the door's opening. The guy that was on the camera, watching the robot camera, tells me, hey, door's open. So now I'm able to come out, and I can look at this guy, and I've got my partners right here next to me, because it's a kind of a narrow little walkway. And I could see the guy coming up with a gun. So he comes up, I come up, I fire a couple of rounds at him. They hit the steel protector that is so people don't fall off from floor to floor to floor. So a couple of rounds hit that, and then he bounces back inside the room. Okay. Do a quick check on everybody. Everybody good? We don't. No need to get on the radio. Shots fired. This and that. It's like I said, nobody's coming. It's just us.
Yeah. So make mention of that. I want everybody to hear that.
Yeah. You don't need to get all crazy and get on the radio, because normally during a hostage rescue, the biggest problem ends up being the radio. It's happened so many times.
Yeah.
If you're not a victim of an outbound shot, or if you didn't AD your weapon, or if you didn't shoot at the suspect, stay off the radio. Okay. Don't.
But I find it interesting. You said you guys don't, in the SWAT capacity, you don't put out shots fired on the radio if you shoot at somebody, or in this particular
right away.
case.
We'll let our command post know eventually. Hey, and that's the sergeant. He'll go, hey, hey, team leader, command post, I have shots fired, stand by. That's it. There's no graphics. There's no, let's really get that, nothing. Just, hey, stand by. Okay. So that occurs, and probably about 20 seconds later, the camera guy he says, hey, the door's opening. So I step out again. Well, this time the guy cracks the door open, and I know what he's doing. He's looking for us, right? So he cracks, remember, he's under gas, right? There's gas in there. We're all in gas masks. The door comes open, and I see him stick that pistol out through the door toward our way, right? So I fire 4 rounds into the door where I believe that he is crouched down. And then my partner fires a couple into where the doorknob is area, to where the guy's hands came out. And the door shuts. Right, okay, great. Now is this guy down inside? Because that would be a problem, right? So, because we still need to render aid. Right? We can't, we're not going to do it if it puts us in jeopardy or anything. But so we're sitting there waiting, and then my team leader's all, okay, let's do a body check real quick. We got a second here. And so I continue watching the door, and then the guy on the robot, he doesn't even go on the radio. He's yelling from the other apartment right there where I have him. And he's yelling, he's coming. And I look, and that door swings open. The guy steps out. His first round that he fires, so I'm on a 90, right? So the first round slams right into a firebox, like a fire extinguisher box, which is right here next to my head. The second round, and I'm already engaging him as well. His second round clips the stucco on the corner, sprays across the team, and I can remember he stalled for a second because of the robot, that was down there in front of him, which worked out perfect. But even when I'm engaging him, I can see the rounds punching his shirt, doing all that nonsense. I wouldn't say never. I rarely go to sustained fire. Rarely. I did on this one, and I just put a laser on him because he wasn't stopping. Painting him. My partner's shooting as well. I go dry, go to a handgun transition. By that time, he's already fired another round that slams into the stairwell right where we're standing, and then he gets domed right here basically in front of us. He's 2.5 feet away, 3 feet away.
Oh, shit. You guys are really close.
And as he starts to go down, he fires his last round, which goes over the team's head and then up into the third level right there above us. And then he goes down. So, but that was all when they did the toxicology on that guy. I mean, we fired 72 rounds. This is all happening in about 2 seconds. And he was hit 34 times before.
Jesus Christ.
And people say, well, hey, why don't you guys, that's why you guys should have M4s and this and that. That had nothing to do with this guy.
Oh, no, he's
because we hit his spine. We blew his, I mean, he was just decorated all through the chest area and clearly the arms, because you're looking at the weapon when you're firing and all that other stuff. But until he took a headshot, he wasn't stopping. But his toxicology was off the charts, like ridiculously off the charts.
Yeah, it would have to be putting up with that. So, wow, that's a hell of a story.
But yeah, that's just it can get a little loose, dude. So as long as
I like that. I can get a little loose.
Yeah.
Well, you had a lot of interesting stuff in there, and one of them is you talk about thinking outside the box, and
that's what I was thinking.
Someone up on a ladder to protect those people in that room. I mean,
or the robot, utilizing the robot outside of its means, to trip somebody
that's an awesome idea.
Yeah,
yeah. Those are like nuggets that guys and gals can take away listening to stuff like this and go.
You can't see anything. Put it right there for tripping hazard. That's awesome.
Yeah. When I always talk to people, the SWAT people, I just tell them, hey, we're trying to get that pendulum on our side. Make it swing back to us. Do everything possible to make it very difficult for this guy.
I like it.
To get one of us. So, and I think most folks, they'll see it and they'll do it. There's plenty of people around this country that have done some pretty creative things. And
that's where the critical thinking thing comes. And that's why it is so important in law enforcement to be able to do that, because you wouldn't be able to think of that if you can't think outside the stress,
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about that on this show.
Right.
But dude, honestly, we could freaking sit here forever, probably all fucking night, and talk to you and share stories. But you did in this short amount of time, like you offered a lot of information. Tell everybody before we end this, you started a training business. How can they find that? What is it, and how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, for sure. I've been in the training business probably since 2004 or 5, but I started my own company in 2011, and that's Integrated Tactical Concepts. And you can find us online there. We go everywhere. We've been to Thailand. We've been to Australia. We've been all over the country. We're training all the time. So we probably are going to do about 40 classes this year. And the thing is that we try to make it for teams that we don't, we're like a one-stop shop, so to speak. So if you have a team that's looking at, like I just left El Dorado up in California.
Which, ironically, like that's where we're from, in that area, right? Yeah. We're clear across the country right now.
Right, so I just left those guys last week, and all they wanted was a SWAT update on team movement. Okay, they got hammered for 3 days. And even the guy that I was there, my contact, he's like, well, I asked for it because his guys were blown out because, it takes a lot. We got to work, right? So, but with our training, we make this as cost effective for agents, because I know how it is. I mean, the sheriff's department I worked for has got a, $2.4 billion budget, but I have to buy batteries for my MP5 flashlight, so I get how finances work throughout departments. So we make it very affordable for guys to have training. And on top of that, so what ends up happening is, let's say you've got the 2 new guys on your team, and you send them off to training. Hey, go to that armored vehicle training and tell us how it went. So the 2 new guys come back, and they're surrounded by guys that have been on for 10 or 15 years.
Right.
And they go, well, this is what the tactics are, this and that, and what do those two old guys do? We ain't doing that.
Yeah, tell them to F off.
We're not doing that, right? So then it happens all the time. So how we try to alleviate a lot of that is we come to them. So we go to everybody's agency. So like some of the guys here at the conference were hitting me up about, we have like this big TAC med class that we put on, and then, we have everything. We have our advanced sniper program, our Barricade, our hostage rescue, high risk warrant, armored vehicle. We even have a class where we build your SWAT team. So there's a couple of guys that already hit me up that are out of Maryland here, and they're getting ready to start a SWAT team. He's like, we don't know where to start. Well, we can take care of that for you. Not a problem. We did it in Tennessee with those guys. So we just make it very cost effective by coming to them. And that way, the whole continuity of the training, the whole entire team is locked in.
Yeah, I like it.
It's not just a couple of guys and that. So, and we leave it very open. If guys want to talk about things and they're like, well, I don't know if that's going to fit our team. No problem. No problem. We'll work on how your team can handle the same crap that we are. You may not have the equipment, but you got a brain, so we can make this work out for us.
Yeah.
So, again, we don't push on anybody. We just say, hey, if you want it, here we are. And a lot of our classes now are post-approved. So we are one of the only, there's a few out there, but we're one of the only training companies that have an 80-hour post-approved SWAT school in California.
Wow.
So
What's your website?
www.integratedtacticalconcepts.com. Yeah.
Nice.
So.
All right.
Yeah,
Do you guys have social media for your?
Yeah, we have an Instagram, and I think it's a ITC training ITC training.
And we're sure you run it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's me.
Man, it's been awesome having you.
Yeah,
here.
no
It's
shit.
an
Oh,
absolute
no, I
pleasure.
appreciate
Thanks
it,
for
man. I
taking
like
the time.
talking to you guys.
Yeah, this has been really cool. How was your first podcast experience?
It was very.
Was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, there's unicorns and butterflies.
This is our
everywhere.
makeshift studio that Larry hooked us up in, which actually worked out pretty nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because one of the things we said is that it's very important to talk at a certain distance from the microphone, and you did
the
not
best.
move.
Yeah.
And I actually moved enough where Kyle had to correct that for me. So solid work on that.
You did. I was actually paying attention to that.
I was like, dang, he is disciplined.
I didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, you are an LA County SCB guy. You're not playing around.
That was awesome.
Dude,
Thank you, man.
yeah, George, thanks for carving out the time, dude. This has been awesome, and I hope you guys got something out of this. If you guys listen to this on audio, make sure you want to jump over to YouTube and watch it, because George here is the Rico Suave of SWAT, and he's got the fucking hair, he's got it. He's fit. He needs to be on the cover of SWAT magazine. So get over on YouTube and check it out, because I'm not kidding.
These guys are always asking. They're like, hey, does that guy? They'll ask my partners, hey, why does that guy dye his hair? It's like, no, man, I don't dye my hair. I don't know. Just hair like this.
Yeah, dude, it's just jeans, man. Yeah. So I just had to make a comment about that, but
Your hair doesn't look too good now, Kyle.
I know I'm looking probably haggard after this week, dude. It's been kind of crazy for us, but
Good for you guys. Well, I appreciate
Thank
what you
you.
guys are doing out there for everybody, man. Just
Yeah,
get
we
everybody
try.
locked in, and that'll work out.
yeah,
So,
we really do try. So, and having guys on you, meets that, So thank you very much. Cool.
You bet.
All right, see you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks.
Okay.
Hey, 4-9, shot fired.
Copy, additional shot fired.
Shot fired, shot fired. He's shooting at us.
Suspect shooting at officer.
Breakdown. He's at the base of the stairs, white t-shirt, white male.